one more time, I say it's 7. The young actors and actresses.
You even talked about the kind of sex you like.
It did. In the first film, They Won't Forget.
In 1994, just a few months before her death, LANA Turner had a private conversation with journalist Florence Wagner, who had followed her career for nearly 2 decades. In a cassette tape that remained hidden until it leaked in 2023, LANA, then battling cancer, sighed and uttered a sentence that left the entire crew speechless. "I once loved 7 women. And in the end, every one of them made me disgusted with myself." No one would have ever imagined that one of Hollywood's most iconic sex symbols, the woman who made producers moguls and even presidents fall at her feet, would have a secret list of lovers composed entirely of women. Even more shocking was the revelation of who those 7 women were: legendary actresses, considered the very embodiment of femininity in American cinema. So who were the 7 women LANA Turner declared she hated most in her life? Today's video will reveal them all. 1. Barbara Stanwyck, the beginning of a downfall. If you asked LANA Turner about her very first experience with love, she would not mention a man. She would say, Barbara Stanwyck. And if you asked her whether she regretted it, her reply was always the same: no. I only wish I had known earlier that it wasn't really love. September 1941, Paramount Studios. LANA had just turned 20, trembling with nerves as she was about to play her first leading role after Ziegfeld Girl. Barbara walked into the lighting test room without knocking, dressed in a gray silk shirt, holding a cup of black coffee, her eyes showing no interest in anyone around. Everyone lowered their gaze, everyone except LANA, who looked up. That single upward glance decided the next 3 months of her life. Barbara never truly loved anyone. She only chose people to use. With LANA, Barbara needed a public companion to quell the rumors surrounding her failing marriage with Robert Taylor, while also covering up her late-night affairs with a married producer who had 2 children. LANA had no idea. She believed she was special, especially when Barbara took her to bungalow number 5, behind the Beverly Hills Hotel, a place LANA would later discover had also been the hideout of at least 3 other actresses, including one who had once attempted suicide. Barbara began with small, pale blue pills, which she described as creative relaxation helpers. LANA complied, longing to be like Barbara, confident, cold, untouchable. From pills came alcohol. From alcohol came nights of passing out on the sofa, while Barbara calmly signed contracts with powerful studio distributors. The studio didn't look away. They watched, they kept notes, and after paparazzi captured LANA and Barbara together at Club Del Mar, LANA was summoned to the private office of Louis B. Mayer. There she was forced to sign a morality agreement, which contained one chilling line: avoid any intimate personal association with female colleagues unless approved by the senior PR department. That same day, her prescribed medications were confiscated. Her private nurse suddenly disappeared. In her diary, LANA wrote, "I was being managed like a depreciating asset." The breaking point came one night in late December. LANA arrived at the bungalow earlier than planned and caught Barbara wearing nothing but a bathrobe, pouring drinks for a director fresh from winning an award at Venice, a married man who had once denied LANA a role because she lacked depth. LANA fled in shock, collapsing right outside the hotel door. The official story claimed she was hospitalized due to exhaustion. In reality, it was a nervous breakdown, compounded by uncontrollable withdrawal symptoms. She vanished from the spotlight for the entire winter. And when she finally reappeared in Marriage is a Private Affair, people said she looked sharper, more composed. But that wasn't maturity, it was trauma concealed inside a locked box of pills. If Barbara was the one who made LANA stop trusting her own emotions, then the second woman, Greta Garbo, was the true shadow that haunted her memories forever. 2. Greta Garbo, the secret lover no one was allowed to remember. Greta Garbo, the legendary screen icon of the 1930s, rose to fame with her roles in Grand Hotel and Queen Christina. After withdrawing from cinema in 1941, she lived in seclusion at her old mansion on Franklin Avenue, Los Angeles. Few could have imagined that in early 1946, Garbo began a secret affair with LANA Turner, who had just completed her recovery from a nervous breakdown at Cedars of Lebanon Hospital. Their first encounter took place at a private exhibition of Man Ray's work held on the third floor of the Getty Villa in Malibu. Garbo appeared dressed entirely in black, her silk hat covering half her face, while Lana arrived in an ivory Dior gown. Within weeks, Lana had become a frequent guest at the Franklin residence, a house without clocks, with curtains always drawn and classical music playing through the night. But the mystery soon turned into an obsession. One rainy night in April, while searching through a cabinet for medicine, Lana stumbled upon a small camera hidden inside an old RCA phonograph, its lens aimed directly at the bed. A few days later, a film reel surfaced, showing her asleep, hair disheveled, clothes undone, sent to her MGM agent without any note, without any sender's name. The studio executives immediately summoned her to their Culver City headquarters, where she was forced to sign a contract addendum known as the Morality Clause. It contained a stark prohibition any same-sex relationship, even in secret, was strictly forbidden for the entire duration of her contract. Years later, Lana admitted with bitterness, "That document forced me to treat my own feelings as if they were a crime." Yet the deepest wound didn't come from that clause. A few weeks later, Lana unexpectedly saw another woman leaving Garbo's mansion early in the morning. Her name was Marie Dubois, a French photographer who had lived with Garbo in Zurich back in 1943. At that moment, Lana froze. She realized she was not the only one. She wasn't even the first. She was merely the latest in a long line of women kept close until Garbo found someone more intriguing. In 1953, when asked about her relationship with Garbo, Lana gave only a short, cutting reply, "I once thought I was the final chapter in her life. Later I realized I was only a repeated scene." 3. Tallulah Bankhead, the woman who turned LANA Turner into a punchline. Before 83 of Hollywood's most powerful eyes, the third name on LANA Turner's list was none other than Tallulah Bankhead. In September 1948, Lana met Tallulah at a film industry party at the Garden of Allah Hotel, a place where discreet affairs were quietly understood but never spoken aloud. Lana was still reeling from a noisy, very public breakup when Tallulah stormed in like a hurricane, handed her a gin and tonic, and teased with a half-joking, half-serious remark. "Want to learn how to live without men?" What followed were nights steeped in cigarette smoke and French perfume. Tallulah took Lana to places free of reporters, introducing her to an underground circle of women artists, women the studios had deliberately pushed aside, labeling them too ambiguous in their sexuality to be seen as proper companions. Lana wasn't afraid. In fact, she felt free, perhaps for the first time, truly herself. And just as she began to grow comfortable in those arms, began to trust that attention, Tallulah yanked the curtain down. On January 18, 1949, at a cocktail party hosted by Columbia Pictures in Laurel Canyon, with more than 80 of Hollywood's most influential figures in attendance, Tallulah suddenly asked the DJ to cut the music and called Lana to the center of the room. Everyone assumed it was for a tribute, perhaps an honor of some kind. Lana, though puzzled, stepped forward. Before she could say a word, Tallulah raised a ring box, opened it, and inside was nothing but an old iron bathroom keychain. For the only woman who thought she was my lover, when really she was just holding the key to my room. Laughter erupted like gunfire. Lana froze. No one stepped forward. No one stopped Tallulah. Later, a close friend would recall how LANA vomited as soon as she got into her car, not from alcohol, but from the shock of being humiliated in public by the very person she had once held close. And just when she thought the humiliation was over, Tallulah sent a handwritten fax to the Los Angeles Mirror. Sneering Hollywood is full of lonely ladies. I just help them wake up before it's too late. LANA never responded. Yet in 1957, when asked about the most famous female friendship in Hollywood, she only smiled for a long while before saying, "Some people teach you how to love. Others teach you how to spit out the sweetness that was never sugar, only acid." But after Tallulah, LANA did not shut herself off. Instead, behind the scenes at a Warner Brothers set, another actress pulled her into a clandestine affair. This time, there was no laughter, only threats written in black and white. That actress was Sheridan, and her story was far more dangerous than a cruel joke. 4. Sheridan, a fabricated affair, directed by the hand of a manipulator, LANA TURNER. Sheridan once seemed like a source of comfort during the days when the press relentlessly hounded her after her third divorce in mid-1949. They met at the Los Angeles premiere of The Fountainhead. Anne, radiant in a square-neck black gown, leaned in and whispered something into LANA's ear. No one nearby could hear what she said, but everyone noticed LANA freeze for a moment before smiling for the first time in weeks. Their affair began in secret, carried out in a rented penthouse on Franklin Avenue, booked under the name of Anne's personal assistant, Evelyn Moore, to avoid suspicion. What LANA never realized was that behind a two-way mirror, a Revere reel-to-reel recorder, word quietly capturing her laughter, her confessions, her most vulnerable memories of failed marriages. Then came the unthinkable. One night in October 1949, LANA received an unmarked envelope in the mail. Inside was a recording of her private conversations with Anne, along with a photocopy of a handwritten letter she had sent to MGM's head of PR, pleading for a contract renewal after her divorce scandal. At the bottom, a chilling note read, "We have much more. If you think your career can survive an exposed lesbian affair, by all means, go ahead and try." No signature. But only 2 days later, director Irving Cummings abruptly removed LANA from the project The Starlet's Confession, citing psychological instability. Calls to the studio went unanswered. Advertising contracts were frozen. And on October 14, 1949, after locking herself in her room for 8 hours, LANA swallowed an entire vial of Nembutal. It was Fred Halverson, the doorman at the Beverly Carlton Hotel, who found her. He had grown suspicious when her room lights stayed on for hours, and the radio played the same station on loop. When the door was forced open, the sight was haunting. LANA lay unconscious, her hair damp and clinging to her face, blood dripping from a hand cut by shattered glass. On her vanity, scrawled in lipstick, were the words, "If I am not clean enough to be loved, then at least let me be left in peace." She survived after 3 days in a coma, but the story had already leaked. Clarice Morel, a journalist from the Hollywood Citizen News, was the first to break it with the headline, "Stage lights have killed a rose." Within 48 hours, the article spread across America. Sheridan never came to visit. Yet only a week later, she appeared at the Motion Picture Herald Awards, arm in arm with producer Jack M. Warner, beaming with joy, wearing a sapphire bracelet, the very one LANA had specially ordered for her from Tiffany's that July. And by then, everyone who followed the story understood Sheridan had been the only one to profit from that affair. 5. Marlene Dietrich. the lover who nearly branded LANA Turner a traitor. In 1950, when Marlene Dietrich returned to America after years of touring Europe with the Allied forces, Hollywood welcomed her as if a goddess had descended back onto Olympus. Yet behind that glorious facade lay a world of schemes, theatrics, and conquests built not on love, but on the hunger for control. LANA Turner met Marlene at a secret Warner Brothers soiree held for elite shareholders at the Bel Air Club only weeks after LANA finished filming A Life of Her Own. As LANA entered, Marlene was already seated at the far end of the table, bathed in chandelier light and half-hidden glances. She wore a tuxedo, no jewelry, just a single black glove on her left hand, an unspoken signal for those keen enough to notice. And LANA, whether from curiosity or destiny, was the first to speak to her. After only 3 clandestine meetings, LANA received a contract from Columbia Pictures offering her the lead in a highly ambitious political drama set in East Germany. The strange part, no script had been released, no director confirmed yet the salary was double her previous role. The hand behind this offer, Marlene Dietrich. Leaning close, she whispered in LANA's ear, "You won't just be an actress. You will be the card I place at the center of the board." From then on, LANA appeared at Marlene's side in private gatherings of left-leaning intellectuals in Brentwood, where discussions of the Cold War and cinema's power shifted between French and Russian. LANA didn't fully understand, but she remained there beside Marlene like a beautiful pawn moved by another's hand. Until it all collapsed. In March 1951, the Los Angeles Examiner dropped an exclusive investigation titled "Top Hollywood Actress Linked to Pro-Soviet Circle in California." Among the evidence was a leaked black and white photo of LANA Turner embracing Marlene at a private party attended by 2 former Communist Party members. The very next morning, LANA was summoned before the House Un-American Activities Committee, HUAC. All contracts were frozen. MGM's legal team began considering severing ties entirely. And Marlene. She had flown to Switzerland a week earlier, leaving LANA to face the storm without a word of explanation. 3 months later, in a secret meeting with Marlene's former assistant, LANA finally learned the truth. It had never been love. It was strategy. Marlene had once remarked at a Zurich dinner, "Tying my name to a fading starlet is the quickest way back to the spotlight. And if they burn her, all the better." A beautiful woman burned is remembered far longer than an ordinary one who dies old. LANA nearly lost everything. She withdrew into isolation for more than a year in Palm Springs, even considering leaving America altogether to settle in Lisbon with her mother. Her life then was reduced to long hours in darkness, mild sleeping pills, and stacks of threatening letters arriving each week. But if Marlene had pushed LANA to the edge of the cliff, the woman who came next, Joan Crawford, was the one who calmly kicked her off. And this time it wasn't about politics. It was about ambition, the stage. And a kiss turned into a weapon. 6. Joan Crawford, the lover who became a lifelong enemy. Through a contract of destruction, by late 1952, after narrowly escaping the political scandal tied to Marlene Dietrich, LANA Turner received an invitation directly from Joan Crawford, a supporting role written just for you in the upcoming Torch song. At that point, LANA had few options left. The major contracts with MGM had vanished. Her name was quietly placed on the industry's high-risk list, meaning the mere mention of her could make investors hesitate. Joan knew it, and she would wield it like a velvet rope around LANA's throat. At first, Joan played the part of a secret benefactor, treating LANA like a queen, like a clandestine lover. She gifted Dior gowns, invited her to intimate dinners with Alfred Steele, the newlywed PepsiCo president. To LANA, it felt as though she had found a confidant, a mentor, perhaps even a savior. But it was only the opening act of a darker performance. Behind the scenes, Joan orchestrated LANA's collapse. She deliberately altered lines at the last minute, forced multiple retakes of intimate scenes, and most cruelly compelled Lana to perform an unscripted kiss with another actress in front of over 80 crew members. Just an artistic kiss, if you're truly professional, Joan insisted. The very next day, a photo from that scene appeared in Confidential magazine under the headline, "Turner trades role for lesbian kiss. Lana was thrown into a media inferno." This time, unlike before, no one defended her. The press piled on. Sponsors threatened to pull out. And Joan, ever the tactician, posed proudly for Life magazine, spinning the ordeal into a narrative of artistic sacrifice that both women had supposedly made for the sake of modern cinema. It was then that Lana realized she was no longer a person, merely a prop. And Joan was the one pulling every string. A former production assistant later confessed Joan traded roles like stocks. She arranged financing, casting, and even scandals like a shadow producer. Lana was simply chosen because she was vulnerable, easy to manipulate. That same week, the Hollywood Mirror ran a string of sensational stories accusing Lana of wrecking Joan's marriage to Alfred Steele. Terrified, Lana didn't leave her house for 2 weeks. On the night of February 26th, she scribbled in her diary, "I swallowed half a bottle of sleeping pills. Then I stood up because I could not let her write the last line of my story." After that near attempt, Lana withdrew entirely, vanishing from parties, dropping 2 projects in negotiation, and retreating to a rehabilitation center in Colorado Springs under a false name. Joan, meanwhile, remained radiant, draped in silk, painted in red lipstick, mounting the stage to accept her Golden Globe for Queen Bee with a stirring speech. One that perhaps only Lana could hear, as venom behind the applause. And then, when it seemed the worst was finally behind her, another woman appeared, seemingly gentle, almost angelic. Jean Tierney entered Lana's life like a miracle. Yet no one could have foreseen that Jean would leave her with a silent burden, a guilt that Lana would carry until the very end of her days. 7. Jean Tierney, the woman who left LANA TURNER with a lifetime of silence. Among all the secret relationships that scarred LANA TURNER, none cut as deeply or lingered as painfully as Jean Tierney. Not because it was long-lasting or publicly explosive, but because Jean was the only one who stripped Lana of her dignity, her career, and even her right to speak. They met in early 1955 at a charity gala at the Waldorf Astoria in New York. At the time, Jean had withdrawn from Hollywood after the scandal surrounding her daughter's illness, linked to a rubella infection, while Lana was trying to reclaim her career through more traditional roles. The two were seated side by side at the honor table, surrounded by financiers and European directors. According to Lana's former manager, it took only 2 glasses of red wine and an invitation to smoke on the balcony before they arranged to meet privately the next day. What followed was a relationship kept in absolute secrecy, lasting nearly 4 months. Jean frequently visited Lana's Beverly Hills penthouse under the guise of being a script consultant. During this time, she convinced Lana to invest $75,000 into an independent studio called Silver Compass, advertised as a haven for actresses rejected by Hollywood. But Silver Compass existed on no business registry. 6 weeks after Lana's transfer, an anonymous lawsuit was filed in Los Angeles, accusing her of being complicit in a money laundering scheme through a fake film investment. Soon after, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner dropped a bombshell story hinting that an A-list actress had knowingly or unknowingly aided an international fraud network. Studios immediately cut ties. A role in The Swan, already signed with MGM, was pulled just 36 hours before its announcement. The press swarmed the studios, abandoned her, and Jean vanished from California without a trace. 3 weeks later, Lana was rushed to Cedars of Lebanon Hospital, diagnosed with nervous exhaustion and acute anxiety disorder. According to her doctors, she refused to eat, refused all press contact, and repeated only one plea to her nurses. "Please don't say her name. I swear I'll never tell a word." The FBI launched a preliminary investigation into the missing funds, but found no evidence strong enough to charge her. Still, LANA was blacklisted for nearly a year. The only thing she held on to was her vow to bury the secret with her. Years later, in an interview with Motion Picture Monthly, when asked about her greatest career regret, LANA said simply, "There are things I must remain silent about. Not because I fear judgment, but because to speak would mean admitting I once loved someone who never truly existed." No one knows what Jean Tierney really wanted from LANA Love Money Control, or perhaps just revenge on life itself by turning another into her victim. But one thing is certain, after Jean LANA Turner never again loved another woman. She carried that silence to her grave. Epilogue. On the final tape, LANA's frail yet steady voice declared, "I stayed silent thinking I was protecting them. But in the end, they were the ones who destroyed me." Those were the 7 women who passed through her life. Each hurt her in a different way, but all left her with the same legacy: disgust at her own most genuine feelings. After nearly 30 years hidden away, the tape is finally public. And now you are among the few who know the truth behind the painted mask that Hollywood worked so hard to bury. So what do you think of the list of 7 actresses LANA Turner once loved and later despised? Did any name surprise you? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to uncover more shocking secrets behind the dazzling lights of classic Hollywood, don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this video with fellow cinema lovers.